Hi everyone, I'm Heath, and in this video, I'm going to be asking, should there even be such things as first level paladins anyway? Because I've been asked in some of the comments on some of the other videos I've done in this series where I've been talking through some of my notes for RPG development that I had put together a couple of years ago, if I'm even a fan of level-based systems anyway. And I suppose, generally speaking, the answer is I would be inclined to not go with a level-based system because I do like things that are like GURPS where they're skill-based, and you get more points to improve your character in a more free-form way that doesn't depend on some kind of leveling up. But then again, I'm also not completely against character levels because I do appreciate their simplicity, especially if you have character archetypes, which are basically your classes. And you know that I am a fan of being able to create characters quickly, and so relying on something like character archetypes, which are character classes, and then going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, level 4, and so forth. Those things are easy, they're definitely intuitive, so I don't think they can just necessarily be discounted. But what I do want to talk about is whether or not you can have classes, character classes, that you can't just start out at level 1. And, Dungeons & Dragons did have this kind of element with prestige classes. That was in 3rd edition, I remember. I don't remember too many things about them. I suppose we used them a little bit. But, that you had to advance a certain amount in a character class in order to be able to be eligible, in order to adopt some type of prestige class. I don't know that the implementation of that was perfect, because the complaint that I generally heard about that, and that I tend to agree with, is that it took away from the desire or the uniqueness to just be, a 20th level cleric, or a 20th level fighter, or a 20th level rogue, or whatever it is. And arguably also multi-classing does that in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It seems like in a lot of the games that I play, people tend to want to take on multiple classes, which means they aren't just, powering right ahead in whatever their main character class is. I'm kind of an exception to that, being that I don't think that I have ever played a multi-class character in 5th edition. I've always wanted to try to stay as pure as a character class, when I've adopted it, as I possibly can. That's just playstyle, but whether or not it's a prestige class, or whether or not it's multi-classing, or whatever that system is, I do think that there needs to be a strong incentive to just stay with one character class until you reach its end. Now, what we're talking about here is a slight variation on that, because there may be some character classes that you want to be that you can't immediately start off as at first level, and you've got to progress in other character classes, and then they've got kind of a fork to them as they go, where you get to make some choices as you go about, well, now what path are you wanting to follow? And I think a particularly good example of this is the Paladin and also the Knight. And here again, I happen to think that Hackmaster happens to have a pretty reasonable system for this. And so this is why, one of the reasons I think Hackmaster should be talked about a little bit more. And so I thought I would bring that up here. So, for instance, in Hackmaster, you can't just start off being a knight. You're going to have to earn being a knight through advancement in the fighter class. And I think that does make sense. Does it make sense to be a first level knight? Because it does depend on what first level is, and what does first level mean? Does first level mean that you're a squire? Because some people have said, well, you're not really getting in 5th edition D&D all of your main powers until 3rd level anyway. So, 1 through 3 levels are your apprentice levels anyway. So maybe if you're going to be a knight, then, if you're a fighter at level 1 or level 2 or level 3, that's when you're a squire. And then you've got to have something else happen to you and make sure you maintain all of your discipline as a squire in order to become a knight at level 3. Now, actually, I think in Hackmaster here, I think you have to be at least 5th level in order to become a knight. I don't mind this kind of system. Now, I do think that means that it needs to be easier to create characters at higher level, because I don't think that you always should have to start off at level 1 in that kind of case. If level 1 is a squire, then I don't think you should be forced to always start as a squire and the equivalent across all of the different character classes. You should be able to start, hey, this is a kind of campaign we're running here, and everybody can start at the level of knight or equivalent. In that case, it also needs to be the case, I believe, that you should be able to create characters much faster at a higher level, so everybody can be like, no, we're not starting with level 1, because you don't have to start every campaign as just a complete beginner. I want to start off with people at, the experience level of knights, because that's the adventure for this campaign. I think that's perfectly reasonable. But in that case, you need to have the ability to create higher level characters much easier in the system. Okay, so Hackmaster says the Knight is a fighter subclass. So this was all of our information on fighters up here, and you can go all the way, it's got through level 20 here as a fighter. But if you want to be a knight, then you've got to start off as a fighter, and then you've got to have these class requirements. So let's see how it does it. So to become a knight, a fighter character must be of strong body and stout heart, meeting minimum physical requirements, 13 strength, 11 51 dexterity, and 12 constitution. Like Advanced Dungeons & Dragons did years ago when you had percentile strength scores, like if you had like an 18 over 77 strength or something like that, Hackmaster actually uses that for all of your basic ability scores. So you've got your main number, and then you've got a division of 100 up until you hit the next number. As well as show above average leadership qualities, minimum of 11 over 76 charisma, and at least rudimentary understanding, a minimum of 8 over 51 wisdom. Prove his worth. Achieve at least 5th level in fighter class, entering the 9th class as the character advances to 6th level. Prove his worth. Achieve at least 5th level in the fighter class, entering the 9th class. The character advances to 6th level. This makes him a 6th level knight at the time. A character can choose to enter knighthood at a higher level than 5th. In this eventuality, the character becomes an equal level knight and advances from there. See some extra rules. Have a certain mastery of horsemanship, which means attain at least advanced mastery in riding, which again, these kinds of things make sense to me. Can you be a knight if you don't have at least some level of, in this case, advanced proficiency in riding a horse? Now, of course, this is campaign-specific, campaign world-specific, but generally speaking, when you're talking about the classic knight, I would say, no, you can't. That you need to have at least some degree of horsemanship that you may not be able to attain as a level 1 character in order to be a knight. Show some skill at discretion and good degree of willpower. Attain at least average mastery in diplomacy, recruiting, and resistance persuasion skills, as well as etiquette and manners proficient in the culture in which the order of knighthood is embedded. Join a knightly order in service of a lord or master with a cause. This can be a fatherland, religion, ideal, or so on. Have no major physical flaws, such as missing limbs, major digits, and the like. Be not afraid. Have no phobias. Be a man of honor. Be an average or higher honor. Honor is actually a statistic that you have in this game. Must be proficient in one knightly melee weapon, mounted weapon, and the lance. I think those sound pretty reasonable. Now, of course, its implementation in any particular game can change. But yeah, what does it mean to be a knight? In this case, it's going to take a little bit more than just being a first-level character, and I'm okay with that. Again, with the caveat, as long as the game system also provides your ability to create higher-level characters faster, if that's what you decide you want to play. It occurs to me this also might help break down this problem of the separation between what is a PC and what is an NPC, because, if you allow that, okay, a knight character might have to be at least 5th level, which is rather arbitrary here, but let's say 5th level to be a knight. Well, that means that you can have NPCs, such as the squires, such as the other footmen and things like that, which can legitimately be levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're just not going to be as qualified as a knight is in all these different things that make up knighthood. And then you don't have to have this distinction between PC and NPC like some editions of Dungeons & Dragons have done and other RPGs have done, because you have more flexibility in what those lower levels mean. In Hackmaster, then, as you go on, you can't just be a paladin either. If you want to be a paladin, boy, being a paladin is really going to mean something, because the paladin, the ultimate holy warrior, a paladin is a specialized knight subclass dedicated to a particular lawful good deity. A character may never begin play as a paladin. Rather, the status of paladin is bestowed upon the purest in body, heart, mind, and spirit, and the most faithful servants of religious knightly orders and the church. Which I really like, and this is what I was getting at. Maybe you shouldn't just be a level 1 paladin. Maybe being a paladin is something that you're really going to have to earn, and you're going to have to make sure that you're actually tracking as you are growing up as a fighter and then a knight and then trying to get this very elite paladin character class. To become a paladin, a knight character must continue to be of strong body and stout heart, meet the knight's strength, dex, and con requirements, have leadership qualities, minimum of charisma 17 over 1, and show distinct insight and understanding, minimum of wisdom 13 over 1. Prove great worth, achieve at least 10th level in knight, entering the class as the character advances to 11th level, making him an 11th level paladin at the time. Paladin status may be bestowed upon a knight after 11th level. In this case, the character becomes an equal level paladin and advances from there, effectively losing 1 level. Maintain his mastery of knightly skills, as per the knight's minimum skill requirements. Have studied his faith and be nearly unshakable in his convictions. Attain at least advanced mastery in religion and resist persuasion skills. Have served and continue to serve a knightly order in the service of a specific lawful good religious order. Be of sound mind and body, having no quirks, flaws, or disfiguring scars. Be a man of great honor. Have great or legendary honor. So I think that if I were going to be setting up a level system, this is the kind of thing that I would think about. I think that I would have a smaller number of character classes that the characters can start off with at level 1. And then they're going to fork, kind of, like this is kind of doing here, where you start off as a fighter, which might mean you're a squire. So you've got this category of fighter, but you're starting off at level 1, which might mean you're a squire, or it might mean you're in the town watch or something like that, rudimentary knowledge and understanding of weapons. And then as you grow from there, you're going to have to decide what it is that you're going to want to do if you want to become a knight or a paladin or all of these different things, and then achieve that through the game. For instance, when I'm thinking about the Tales of Rabavania, which, by the way, check out the Tales of Rabavania YouTube channel. There isn't a lot over there at the moment, but there is Goodnight Sword, which is my medieval fantasy take on Goodnight Moon, our lightly animated audiobook version of it. And that's one of the worlds I'm working on. And so I'm thinking if I were to do some kind of level-based system in Tales of Rabavania, because it's definitely a structured society, this kind of thing makes sense in the context of its world building, that you do have a sense of progression from being a younger page to a squire and then a knight and so forth, that having some kind of forking structure to the character classes, if character classes exist in the game, might be a great idea. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and all of that jazz. It really helps a lot. But also, please check out The Cultists, the web series on this channel about modern-day D&D playing Lovecraftian cultists who just want to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who just don't understand. Season 1 is on the channel now. But also, please check out my YouTube channel. I have over 150 videos on tabletop games and the fantasy genre. If you've enjoyed this video, you might enjoy many of them as well. I look forward to seeing you for them and many more videos to come. Later.